Hey guys, I've had a couple people ask me about sharpening a chainsaw. This device here is usually used when you're outside and you hit the top of this with a hammer, drive those little sharpened legs down into the log. But this will work for now just to keep the saw in place. I don't normally use it, but I wanted to for this video. So when I got the new blade, I used a 7/32 on it. I have sharpened it a few times. I'm going to use a 3/16 blade. And really the reason why is if you can see this, you see how it's running over the top of the tooth and it's running down into the links of the chain, which I don't want that. So I want to use the 3/16. So what I'm going to do is use this tool here. You see it allows me to get an angle. It helps guide me. I don't necessarily need it, but I really like it because I'm not perfect, right? So I'm going to set it on top of the chain. Okay, so here is the first link I'm going to sharpen. I'm going to line this up right here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to line up this part of it almost flush with the very edge, the very top right here. And I'm going to follow this angle. So I'm pushing against the tooth and then I'm pulling the blade or the file away. If it is really dull, you may get some snags. This is a new file, takes it down really nice. And so you can see I put that down a little bit too low so I can't rotate the chain. And then I'm going to move on to the next one. So this side is very easy because I'm a righty. The other side's a little bit more work. And it's nice if you have time after you use your saw to sharpen it. Often that's not how it goes down and we end up sharpening the next day or when we have time. So to sharpen the other side, you're just going to turn your file guide around and you're just going to do the exact same thing. You're going to realize it's going to take a little bit more effort because you're using your left hand now. If you're a righty, you can also turn the chainsaw so it is facing the other way, which I have found that to be pretty helpful. But you'll see when you go outside and use this after you have sharpened this with a new file that is going to go through wood pretty well, and it's going to produce what I like to call shredded cheese looking like chunks of wood coming out the back. You know how you got this string cheese you could buy in a bag? That's what it's going to look like. It's not going to look like sawdust by any means. And one big part of the equation is it's all fine and well that you have a sharp saw. Keep in mind that if you have a little saw and you're cutting through wood that's larger than it, it's going to have to work. Like, for example, this saw, I almost cannot hold it wide open because it's got a pretty powerful motor on it. So guys, if you like me, subscribe and give me a thumbs up. And, you know, as you go along using your saw, if you're not really versed in it, you're going to become familiar with realizing maybe you bought the wrong saw, maybe it is too small. And the right saw, I think, is going to allow you to, for example, the 395 Husky. I usually cannot hold the trigger wide open because the motor will just rev way too high. And I'm trying to keep this saw. There's no need for that. So I'll taper the throttle. I'll hold it wide open. I'll back off a little. I'll hold it wide open. But because it's got a big motor, usually it is adequate for most jobs. I've not actually come across a job yet that I've said to myself the motor's not big enough. I have a 396, a 365, I'm sorry about that. And that is pretty powerful, but there are times where I say it's not enough. And then I have a 450, same thing. So if you have, for example, a small chainsaw and you're holding the motor wide open and it's seeming like it's struggling to go through wood and your chain is sharp, you might not have a big enough motor. So if you find a chainsaw spot that the folks over there you can trust, you can speak to them about it. Maybe they can guide you. But I hope that I was helpful. And if you like me, give me a thumbs up and subscribe. Take care.